Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video talking about how I studied during dental hygiene school. I had a few people reach out to me and request that I do this video, so thank you guys for actually reaching out and giving me video suggestions. And also I want to apologize if you are a subscriber and you've been waiting on content. I just want to apologize for taking forever to post, but I do want to start doing better. So anyways, without further ado, we're gonna get into the video. So something that's interesting about my schooling and everything that I went through while in hygiene school is, and hopefully you guys can get some information if you're going through the same thing, but I was a pandemic schoolgirl. So pretty much when I started the hygiene program, we were not in a pandemic. And around the middle of the program is when the pandemic hit. And so pretty much my program went through the entire time, almost nearly most of the time was during the pandemic. So we were in person at first, and then we ended up getting put in virtual for the rest of the program. And then clinics slowly opened back up towards the end of my program. So my studying is revolving based off of the change. For me, when I was in person, it was much easier for me to be able to study and for me to be able to grasp information. I'm very much a front row sitter. I'm very much a bring my notes to class and write down things that I think are important during the lecture. So honestly, before the pandemic happened, that's essentially what I was doing. I would print out the PowerPoints that our teachers would have before the class. I would bring them to class. I would bring some pens, highlighters, and pretty much try to skim down all the important things that my teacher said. I definitely tried not to write everything down because I knew if I wrote it all down, I wasn't going to go back and read my notes. So key thing here is to try to catch the important points and write those things down. Something that also helped me while I was in person, but also I think it's beneficial if you're virtual, is to try to record your lectures if your professor will allow that. I would take my phone and I would just do like those voice recordings and pretty much record the lectures, and I would listen to them in my free time while I was at work, because my job was like one of those jobs where I wasn't dealing with the public, so I could literally put my headphones in, replay my lectures. I would listen to it at home and kind of rewrite notes out to help me so I could study those notes later. Another thing I think is awesome for studying while you're in the dental hygiene program is not just to study alone, but to try to form like a study group. This was helpful for me, especially when I was in virtual, because we didn't have that class time where you could kind of be with people and like engage in that way. So having like study groups was helpful because you're around people, you're getting to discuss topics, you're showing different points of views, possibly bringing different things to study. So it's just very beneficial, and I think it also makes studying a little bit fun. And I know for me it definitely worked, especially for my boards. I definitely highly recommend study groups if you're preparing and you're getting down to the wire for your boards. Something that I also think is super important is making sure that you keep up with all of the stuff that you get from each class. As we all know, hygiene is not one of those careers or those degrees where you can just float through. Like, you really actually have to understand the information. So a good study tool to have at the end of your program to start studying for boards is all of those PowerPoints, all of those topics that you discussed during the school year. So something I created were just little folders that pretty much had this class in this folder, this in this folder. So I could like literally have every note from all of my classes in folders, so it was very organized. You can also create online files and documents and stuff to keep up with your notes as well if you want to do it that way, but organization is so important. Time management is also a part of succeeding in school. I know that dental hygiene school is very strenuous. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and it's just one of those things where I feel like you almost feel like it consumes you. But something I highly recommend is getting a planner. Planning out the times that you're going to study, planning out how you're going to study and what you're going to study. And a lot of times writing that stuff down so you can visualize it helps you attack it. So I would definitely recommend getting a planner and scheduling things out. And I feel like too, don't forget to schedule out time for yourself, because a lot of times we get so worked up with work and school and we forget that we're human. So also plan out time for you. Another study tool that I think is super important, and I know people are probably like, well, how did you study for clinic if you were out of clinic for a good amount of your program? So YouTube was my best friend. I will link some YouTube channels in my description box that I used, but definitely take your typodont home and practice on your typodont, watch YouTube videos. YouTube is great for clinical courses, but there's also a couple of channels that are good for your actual didactic courses as well that I'll link for you. But YouTube is awesome. It's such a great resource. And it's also a good resource for encouragement. There's a lot of people on here who have dental hygiene channels. So just look around and really, see what YouTube has to offer, because it has a lot to offer. So I want to answer this question before I end the video, because I think it's super important. And it's one of those questions that had me on thin ice before I started the program. And so the question is, can you work while you're in the dental hygiene program? Is it doable? So I personally, I did work. I worked part-time when I was in the program. I also know women who work 2 jobs, full-time hours. I know women who became pregnant, women who already had kids. So I would say I think it's doable. I do think, however, if you don't have to, I wouldn't recommend it, because it is extra stress, it is extra responsibility. But if you absolutely have to, I don't think you should worry too much. Just like I said, set a schedule for yourself and really just plan things out. So make sure you're working for a company that's going to let you prioritize your schoolwork and your school time, and a company that's not going to give you a hard time. Yeah, I personally worked for UPS. They have a tuition reimbursement program that they offer. And they were willing to work with my school schedule from the start of my program till the end. So just find you a reliable company that's going to work with you. All right, well, that's going to conclude the video. I really appreciate you guys for supporting me and watching my videos. And I also appreciate the person who reached out to me for this video. If you guys have any other video requests or any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to leave my Instagrams at the end of the video for you guys to follow. That's the best way to reach me. Keep your head up, girls and boys. The program does not last forever, and you are going to get through it, even though it's difficult right now. Just remember that you're going to get through it, and it's going to be so well worth it. Well, thank you guys for supporting, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.